Hey guys, welcome back. It is Monday, January 14th, 2018. Time for another video. This one's going to be music related. Um, this is going to be kind of a response video to some of my other fellow YouTubers that have done videos. Me, Mr.Mayo, I think Beatle Brad started it. Canadian Stud Muffin Larry Graves has actually done it on his channel as well. What was the very first CD you ever purchased? And for me, I was a little late to the game because honestly, um, just a little bit about me. I'm the youngest sibling of my bunch. I'm a young member of Generation X. I was born kind of towards the end of that generation. And I have an older sister that's about 47 years old, and I have a brother that's 42. I'm in my very late 30s, almost 40. And, I was always very close with my sister growing up, even though she was about 8.5 years older than me. So in those years, it was kind of Motley Crue, Winger, Poison, Bon Jovi, Slaughter, Damn Yankees, Nelson, all that stuff. And then, one day that group Nirvana came out. I knew I didn't really care for that particular type of music, and I didn't care for where rock and roll was going, so kind of up in the air for a couple of years. Didn't really follow music much. I, took up one of my other passions and followed monster trucks. That's the type of sport that I like, motorsports, drag racing, that sort of thing. But then in the mid-90s, when I met my very best friend, he kind of got me in. He's about 20 years older than me, and he kind of got me into the 70s music. So right about 1994. 93, I met him. 94. He played the first album from Boston for me. And I had heard some of the songs before, but, now I was kind of looking to go in a different direction as far as my taste in music, so I turned to classic rock because I knew I wasn't going to follow grunge music. I didn't like it very much, other than the occasional song here and there. So, at that point, believe it or not, I was still collecting your regular 4-track cassettes. I had stopped collecting vinyl in the late 80s. And I don't know what it was, I guess about 1995-ish, the prices finally came down enough on CD players where I said, you know what, let me build a nice component system with some good, tower speakers and, set up a nice little rig for myself, and I bought my first CD player. And then I bought, which was a 6-disc Pioneer. And then I went to the 25, and then I bought a 50-disc, and then at one point I had 2 CD players. So anyhow, long story short, the very first CD I bought was at a store called Ames, which took over a lot of if you were in the Jersey and Pennsylvania area like me, you're probably familiar with a store called Jamesway. They went bankrupt in the mid-90s and shut down their stores, and a lot of those stores were converted to Ames. So I went to Ames, and this one here, Austin's debut album, was the first CD I ever bought. You didn't really get a whole lot with it. Here's the booklet. This is pretty much what you got. That's it for a booklet, and the CD itself, I'll take out and show that to you. There it is right there. Very clean, scratch-free. I haven't played it in a while, but the last time I did play it, about 10 years ago, still played great. I got that for next to nothing. I forget what it was, maybe $10, $8-10, something like that. Because Ames always sold the CDs fairly inexpensive. And it was right around that same time that I also joined a music club service called BMG. So I started buying a lot of they would do that, buy one CD, we'll give you 12 for a dime, or, some off the wall type price. And that's where I picked up a lot of my collection in the early days when I started collecting. It was I want to say the early to mid 90s, guys, is when I started. Like 94, 95-ish is when I started. That's when I got that one. And then the one after that was when Michael Jackson had released the History album. So that was actually disc number 2. I actually got the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Is another one of the early discs that I got. Both of those, the History CD and then the Saturday Night Fever discs, both still play very well and are scratch-free. I try to take good care of my stuff, play it in good players if I'm going to play it. And then now a lot of it's digitized and on the computer, so that it's, you don't even really have to take the CD out anymore unless you really want the uncompressed sound. But that's pretty much it. That's my very first CD I ever purchased, and I love it, and it'll be with me for many years to come. And also, believe it or not, guys, while we're on the subject of Boston, here's this right here, this guy here. Some of you may be familiar with it. This was that gold version of the disc, and then here's the back of it. They were selling this in the mid-90s at all your stores. Nobody Beats the Whiz. It was, that store was around back then. I remember seeing it on the shelf in there. That was fairly pricey. And those things, believe it or not, that gold version of that album I've seen on eBay in the box. The sellers are trying to get some pretty good money for that. So this is my go-to, because this actually sounds a little bit better to my ears than the original. And then I also have the remastered version of it on CD as well. I'm a big fan of Boston. I love them. They're, in my opinion, should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a long time ago. This self-titled debut, 17 million copies, guys, cover to cover. It's a great album if you're ever thinking about getting into Boston. I highly recommend this album. Probably, in my opinion, the greatest debut album of all time. I know there's going to be some people that disagree with me on that, but that's my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like videos like this, please tune into the channel. Hit the like and the subscribe, and there'll be more videos like this to come. Y'all have a goody and an excellent week.